Good morning, good morning, good morning, folks. Merry kind of stupid o'clock. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. And the reason why I'm doing this morning is I took today off. Oh no, not to relax. This is to get this wisdom tooth yeeted out of my mouth. So I wanted to make sure why I could still talk coherently that I would go ahead and get this particular video done. Now, and before I look like a glorified chipmunk. But I'm still going to do the stream, though, looking like a chipmunk. Whatever. It should be interesting. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do, folks, the usual disclaimers. First off, you are going to see the link to this report right there in the description box, alongside the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, the templates. Folks, you remember the drill. Type your name, click on your senator, and the ever-present and self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. Now, folks, when we talk about the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of peoples with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones, all right? Okay, now I'm kind of, sort of awake. I'm having Paul do my taxes, and he said, I'm asking about your SIN. He meant social security number. And so I just kind of stared at him blankly. I'm like, my SIN, the what? Yeah, so I'm a wee bit brain dead. So if I stumble over my words, my apologies in advance, all right? Okay, so we're going back to where we left off yesterday on page 20. It is 5.2 Policies and Procedures for Coordination, Collaboration with Public School Districts, Contents for Coordination, Collaboration with Public School Districts. Oh, you mean the shit that they make up paperwork but never actually do? That shit? No, seriously. As we saw in the 2006 report, and as they reported quite clearly, they do not follow the IEPs of the students at all. Oh, but they're willing to provide the vague paperwork if they think it's going to save their ass, because according to Massachusetts, that's all they need, right? Can someone please explain to me the Massachusetts court and school system and their obsession with fucking paperwork, and the fact that they put more importance on paperwork and accounting than they do on the fucking students? Seriously. The private special education program works collaboratively with the placing public school district to ensure that the maximum extent appropriate children with disabilities are educated with children who do not have disabilities, as provided access to the general education program, are given opportunities to return to a less restrictive educational program. Are they? Because if all they're teaching them is a bunch of bullshit computer programs, how the hell are these kids supposed to be integrated into a regular school setting when you have teachers who are in this school who are not fucking qualified to teach anything? Explain this shit to me. Because we've seen in report after report that you have people who are called teachers who are not certified to fucking teach, where they anywhere else would not allowed to be so much as a teacher's assistant. They are not certified in shit. Yet you're going to tell me, Massachusetts, that were these kids to be put in a more integrative setting, that they would be able to fit in with their quote-unquote non-disabled peers? Bullshit. Bullshit. And you all know it. It would take fucking years of going back and educating them to get them up to what their level is supposed to be due to the fucking damage of this place. This school cares nothing about these kids' education. They only care about their behaviors. This has been said and proven time and again. But moving on. A private school shall have policies and procedures that describe roles and responsibilities of the program and its staff, as well as general communication and collaboration procedures that address the following: consideration of possible placement and admissions process, IEP development and implementation, roles and 3-year eligibility redetermination, contents of and general arrangements for executing contracts with placing school districts, participation of the private or public school program, as well as the school district representatives at the team and other key meetings, including reviewing, revising the IEP, written progress reports, documentation regarding student related developments, including matters involving students' behavioral plans, functional behavioral assessments, manifestation determination, imposition of discipline, etc. So, this goes further to prove my point that public schools have not caught up with the fucking rest of the planet when it comes to disability rights. They are still pushing this behavioral modification bullshit down our throats and expecting us to swallow it. When it's behavior modification that allows this insane shit to continue to go on, and which never in the long haul actually helps anyone. If anything, it does damage. Extreme damage, I might add. They don't care about a student having autonomy. They just see the student as a problem to be gotten rid of. And then they will sign whatever the JRC wants just so they don't have to do their fucking due diligence. Just saying. Administration of tests, preparations for students to returning to a public school or other less restrictive setting, which has been proven they've got no transitions program. Folks, this was my area of expertise with the state. Transition services is something I am extremely familiar with. And I can honestly tell you, in states across the union, transition services are still not even close to adequate in getting kids prepared for life after high school, especially the disabled kids. But JRC has no transition services there at all. There is not the option for a trade school training. Even I had that. There was no process of getting them prepared for college. There is no taking SATs. They do the same shit to those students that was done to me. They have nothing, folks. Nothing. Not even vocational rehab job training at this place. Their workshops, my God, we hate the workshops. It's basically slave labor where people get paid pennies on the dollar, literally pennies on the dollar. And the government's still getting away with it in workshops all across the country. It's been something we've been fighting against for fucking years. But even they are doing more productive shit in those workshops than what those kids are doing inside the workshops at the JRC. Okay? It's fucking garbage. They have no transition services. None. Nothing is preparing those kids for the real fucking world, let alone transitioning back into regular education. It's bullshit, folks, and it's bad for you. Just saying. Okay, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to break off here a little bit. Real transition services should provide a choice to start with college prep courses or vocational rehabilitation training, job prep, or the option to get into a trade school program. Something that starts getting these students prepped. In my transition services, and this was one of the good points of it, since I was in person-centered planning and driving the damn thing, was that I was getting my circle of support prepped for when I got transitioned out of high school. So I had my doctor team ready. I had my shrink set up. I had my psychologist set up. I had all my circle of support already set up for the moment I graduated high school. I had housing set up. I was just getting into talks with vocational rehab. Granted, they dropped the ball with me big time in a lot of ways, but my point is all these things were being set into place junior, senior year high school. Okay, sorry. I just went off on that rant. That's what transition services are, to prep the student to be ready for life after school. Transition services for places like this is supposed to prep them for that and prep them being in a regular educational setting. And from what we know from this school, yeah, not even fucking close, not even remotely. But moving on. Documenting. Okay. Where did we leave off? Sorry, folks. Consideration of possible placements and admissions process, IEP development and implementation in 3 roles and 3-year eligibility determination, contents of general arrangements for executing contracts with placing school districts. Okay, including reviewing, revising IEP, written progress reports. Okay, we talked about their manifest determination, their garbage. Okay, here we are. This is where we left off. Preparation for students approaching or reaching ages 14, 16, and 18. Later education and adult life consistent with the IDEA transition requirements and state of agency majority law. Yeah, they have no transition services, folks. Remember that New York report. Remember what the witnesses have said. School district monitoring of student progress. Granting of high school diplomas consistent with the Department of Education requirements. And conditions for issuance of certificates of attendance or program completion by a private school or educational collaborative. Ugh. Regulations. We'll get started on this one tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and close out with a few thoughts. Any school that's got a special education program has a responsibility to the students inside it to provide real life transitional services for what life is going to be like outside of high school. A good majority of public schools fail the mark, and they fail it badly, very badly. But they at least have something, even if it's just a token effort, in place. And what have we been told about the JRC? Explain how the fuck bundling a bunch of popsicle sticks with rubber bands is preparing these kids in any fucking way for transition out of school, or even transition back into a regular educational environment. It fucking doesn't. They do not encourage social interaction amongst the students. They do not encourage, going out into the general public and interacting with their non-disabled peers. They do not even encourage any talking at all unless they have staff's permission. Yet somehow Massachusetts Department of Education would have me believe. Now look at this. They say implemented. They say partially implemented, which is garbage. They would have me believe that these kids are being prepped to return back to regular education or for the regular transition services. It's garbage, folks. It's complete garbage. They don't even put forth a token effort. But they're going to sit there and lie to us and tell us that they do, and not addressing a single concern brought up by the New York State Department of Education report. Yeah, I find this quite striking. Where are the documents documenting what their transition services are? Where are the documents talking about the transition age programs that the JRC has in place? What are those programs like? Are they catered to the student? Is there circle of support involved? None of this appears in this report. And I like the rest of the report, it's vague. And you want to know why? It doesn't exist. So they are literally lying. They are trying to combat the New York report with this garbage, but they can't even do it properly. On that note, folks, I'm going to go ahead and close out this morning. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this morning, and as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye bye.